Hello friends, welcome back to our video lecture series on course titled Fluid Mechanics 2. We will continue with our previous topic, hydraulic jump, in this lecture as well, and we are going to derive the equation for the hydraulic jump. So before proceeding, let's discuss our previous lecture, what we have discussed. The hydraulic jump, which is defined as the rise of water level due to the transformation of flow from supercritical to subcritical. So whenever there is a occurrence of supercritical flow in the channel, at that time whatever the flow will be converted itself from the supercritical state to subcritical state due to the unstable nature of the supercritical flow. So whenever this conversion is going to take place, at that time there will be a sudden rise of water level or sudden rise of that particular fluid level at that particular location when this conversion is going to take place, and this rise of water level is known as hydraulic jump. We also know that whenever before the formation of hydraulic jump, value of the Froude number is greater than 1, and after the hydraulic jump, value of Froude number will become less than 1. So in between this, value of Froude number is going to decrease from greater than 1 to less than 1, and this is what our flow is getting transmitted or transformed from supercritical state to subcritical state. We have also discussed its use to use it as a energy dissipator or use it as a mixer, chemical mixers, because whenever there is a formation of hydraulic jump due to the turbulences and eddies in this zone or due to the reverse flow, obviously there will be a huge amount of energy loss going to take place, and due to that energy loss, this hydraulic jump can be effectively used at the downstream of the dam where we want to dissipate huge amount of energy which is carried by the water as in the form of kinetic energy. So let's proceed for our derivation. So before proceeding for the derivation, let's go through some assumptions, what assumptions we are going to make while deriving the equation for hydraulic jump. So the first assumption, as usual, our channel is considered to be a horizontal, or whatever the slope of the channel is very small or mild slope. So whatever our weight component of the water which we have considered is negligibly small. So if I am considering this channel reach, in that case, if I am assuming the slope of the channel, that is here it is theta, is very small, in that case whatever the component, resolving component of this weight in direction of flow will be negligibly small and we can neglect it. Or simply if I am assuming there is a horizontal channel, in that case value of theta will be 0, and if value of theta is 0, obviously there will be no resolving component of the water, so simply we are going to neglect it. The next assumption, flow of water before and after jump is uniform and one dimensional. So we are assuming that if this is my channel in which hydraulic jump is taking place, so if I am considering two sections, one section is before jump and another section after the jump, so whatever the flow of water at those two sections, that is before jump and after jump, it is uniform flow. So what does it mean? That in that case velocity and depth of flow is going to remain same before and after the hydraulic jump. Again, whatever the correction factors alpha and beta, that is kinetic energy correction factor and momentum correction factor, both would become unity. Next, we are assumed that flow is one dimensional. That means that we are going to consider whatever the changes is going to take place in this zone, that is we are considering in one dimensional only. The pressure distribution going to follow the law of hydrostatic. So what we have discussed in the fluid mechanics 1, law of hydrostatic is given by P is equal to rho g h. What it is indicating that if I am considering any point in the static fluid, in that case whatever the pressure at that point will be defined by the head of water available above to that point. So if depth of water up to this point is y, so in that case whatever the pressure intensity will be given by rho g multiplied by this depth of water, that is y, that is head of water available above to it up to the free surface of liquid. So this is going to define your pressure intensity at particular point in the static fluid will be going to vary with the depth of water or water head above to that point. So we can simply define here pressure distribution at section 1 and section 2 will be hydrostatic. That means that it is going to give me the triangular pressure distribution. The next one, whatever the jump is going to take place over very short length. So if it is mean that if whatever the hydraulic jump which is going to take place over very short length, and if this length is very short, in that case whatever the frictional forces or frictional losses which are going to take place or frictional force which is going to act opposite to the direction of motion will be negligibly small. So whatever this frictional force will be negligibly small and can be neglected. So remember those assumptions, and this hydrostatic law we are going to make use of it. So we have also discussed that hydrostatic law while deriving the pressure on the plane surfaces when they are immersed in the liquid. So if I'm considering vertical plane surface which is immersed in the liquid, in that case we have computed the pressure intensity on that particular plane surface, which is computed as rho g multiplied by A is the area of plane surface multiplied by h bar. Have you remember? Do you remember this equation? So this is our h bar is going to show the centroid point from the free surface of liquid, where the centroid of that particular plane surface from the it is the location of the centroid of that particular plane surface from the free surface of the liquid. So whatever free surface I am considering, and below to that free surface, wherever the location of that centroid of the particular area and where that pressure is going to act. So we are going to make use of that principle or that equation and that law of hydrostatic while deriving the value of this pressure force. Now let's proceed for our derivation. Let us consider a channel section in which hydraulic jump is going to take place. Let us consider section 1 and section 2 at before and after hydraulic jump, and obviously at those two sections flow is uniform before and after those two sections, section 1 and section 2. V1, P1 and Y1 are the velocity, pressure and depth of flow at section 1, and similarly Y2 and V2 and P2 are the respected value at section 2. Now as we have considered, channel is horizontal, so whatever the weight component is going to act in downward can be neglected. Again, pressure force which is going to act opposite to direction of motion can be neglected, as we are considering this hydraulic jump is going to take place over very short length. So after neglecting those two forces, we can simply consider what are the total forces which are acting on the fluid mass which is available in between section 1 and section 2 is the pressure force acting at section 1 and pressure force acting at section 2. So whatever this pressure force can be computed by using law of hydrostatic, which is given by rho g multiplied by A1 multiplied by Z1 bar, where the A1 is the area of flow or area of the cross section at section 1 and Z2 is the area of flow centroid of this particular area from the free surface of the liquid. Now if I am considering this is channel, and if I am considering width of channel as a b, and if I am assuming that width is unity, that is mean 1, if I am assuming the value of b is equal to 1, in that case if I see the cross section of this channel, it will be look like this. So this is the unit width is equal to 1, this width is unity, and this is the depth of flow which is going to vary at two sections. So if I am considering this one, so it will be look like this. So it will look like similarly to the rectangular channel or rectangular plane surface which is immersed in the liquid. Now if I am considering this rectangular plane surface immersed in the liquid, and here it is the free surface of liquid, in that case whatever the centroid point where this pressure force is going to act can be defined as at the half of the location that is given by y by 2. So similarly we can put here Z1 bar is equal to Y1 upon 2 and Z2 bar is equal to Y2 upon 2. So same we have just put the values of this A1 and Z1. If I am assuming the width of channel is unity, that is 1, in that case I can put here rho g multiplied by value of area is depth of flow multiplied by width, that is 1, multiplied by Y1 by 2, similar value for the P2. Now we can simply write down this equation as rho g multiplied by Y1 square upon 2, and for the P2 rho g multiplied by Y2 square upon 2. Now while considering those two forces, we can simply determine the net force which is going to act on the fluid mass which is available in between section 1 and section 2. So what would be the net force which is going to act? That would be a difference between those two forces which are acting in opposite direction. So I can simply take here P1 minus P2 or P2 minus P1. Now if you see here whatever the pressure distribution at different two sections, so what I am getting here, my P2 is greater than P1, so I can simply write down that net force which is acting on the fluid mass in between section 1 and section 2, I can simply write down it as P2 minus P1. So whatever the net force acting in between section 1 and section 2, we can simply write down the equation as P2 minus P1, that is mean that rho g multiplied by Y2 square upon 2 minus rho g multiplied by Y1 square upon 2. So if I take this rho g as a common, in that case we can simply write down this equation as rho g by 2 multiplied by Y2 square minus Y1 square, and just simply give this equation as equation number 2. Now the second thing we are going to define here discharge per unit width, that is given by Q is equal to capital Q upon B. So what is capital Q? It is the discharge in the channel, and B is the width of channel. So if I put the value of Q, what is Q? Q is given by area multiplied by velocity divided by B, where area is given by B multiplied by Y multiplied by V divided by B. So if I cancel this B and B, so what I am getting here, Q is equal to Y1 multiplied by V1, or Q is equal to Y2 multiplied by V2 at two different sections. So this is what value we are getting for the Q. Q is the discharge per unit width, which is given by capital Q upon divided by B. And if I am considering this Q, that same thing we are going to use here, Q, because we have considered a unit width. So we are going to define our flow in terms of per unit width. So we can simply use this equation at any condition wherever the Q is given or width of channel is given. So this equation will be applicable for all the width of the channel. Now what we have derived, net force acting on the fluid mass, which is enclosed in between section 1 and section 2. But according to Newton's second law of motion, or according to the momentum principle, the net force acting on a particular object or on the mass of the fluid in any direction must be equal to the rate of change of momentum in the same direction. So Newton's second law of motion says that whatever the net force acting on particular object in any direction or on a mass of fluid in any direction should be equal to whatever the rate of change of momentum in the same direction. So we have simply defined our net force, which is acting on the fluid mass. Now we can simply calculate the rate of change of momentum in that particular direction. So if we are considering the forces which are acting on this fluid element, so we are simply going to equate it with the rate of change of momentum which is going to takes place in between section 1 and section 2. So whatever the rate of change of momentum in direction of force can be calculated as, we know that momentum is given by mass multiplied by velocity. As we are considering the rate, so we are going to take it over the time. So mass multiplied by velocity multiplied by divided by time. So if I am considering this velocity as separately, so I can simply write down it as mass per second multiplied by velocity. Now we know that mass per second, what is mass? Mass is given by density multiplied by volume divided by second multiplied by velocity. So what I am getting here, density multiplied by volume divided by second. So volume divided by second, what I can write down? I can write down meter cube per second as Q multiplied by V. So I can simply write down here the mass flow rate, that is coming as rho multiplied by Q. Here it is, I have written that rho Q multiplied by rho Q. That is mean that going to represent mass of water which is flowing per second, and multiplied by change of velocity in direction of force, that is when we are calculating the change of momentum. So we know that mass of the liquid is constant, so we are only velocity is going to change in direction of motion or in direction of the force. So we are going to consider two velocities. So change of velocity will be given by V1 minus V2. So what would be our equation for the rate of change of momentum in direction of the force? That would be equal to rho Q multiplied by V1 minus V2. If I multiply and divide this equation with the B, small b, so I can simply replace this whole Q by B as small q. So what equation I am getting here? Rho Q multiplied by 1 multiplied by V1 minus V2. So the same equation, we are going to give it the equation number 3. What we are getting here, rate of change of momentum in direction of the force will be given by rho Q multiplied by V1 minus V2, which is given by the equation number 3. Now we are going to equate this equation number 3 with our previous equation, whatever the equation we have derived for the net force which is acting on the fluid element or fluid mass, which is available in between section 1 and section 2. So from the momentum principle, we are simply going to equate those two forces, equation 2 and equation 3. So what we will get here, rho g divided by 2 multiplied by y2 square minus y1 is equal to rho multiplied by q multiplied by v1 minus V2. Now simply as the previously we have derived, this Q is given by Y1 multiplied by V1. So I can simply write down for the V1 in terms of Q as is equal to Q is V is equal to Q upon Y1. So I am simply going to put this value of V1 and respective value of the V2 in this equation at the place of V1 and V2. What equation I will get here? Rho g upon 2 multiplied by Y2 square minus y1 square is equal to rho multiplied by q multiplied by q upon y1 minus q upon y2. So I can simply cancel here, rho get cancelled. I can simply, another things I can take here q as a common, and by taking this q as a common here outside, it will become q square. Now I can just work out its multiplication, so I can simplify it. Here it is y2 minus y1 divided by y1 y2. So whatever the equation I am getting here, g divided by 2 multiplied by, so simply I can write down this equation as a square minus b square as a minus b and multiplied by a plus b. So I am just taking its factors, y2 minus y1 multiplied by y2 plus y1. This is what formula we have used, a square minus b square, and is equal to q square multiplied by y2 minus y1 divided by y1 multiplied by y2. So here it is, this y2 minus y1 and y2 minus y1 will get cancelled. So what equation I am remained with, if I keep this y2 plus y1 on one side, so what equation I will get here, y2 plus y1 is equal to 2q square divided by g y1 multiplied by y2. So if I am considering this equation, so we can simply derive the roots for any of the variable y1 or y2 by taking it on left hand side. So if you see here, if I am multiplying on both sides with the y2, what equation I will get here, y2 square plus y1 multiplied by y2 is equal to 2q square divided by g y1. So if I take this term on the left hand side, what I will get here, y2 square minus y1 y2 minus 2q square divided by g y1 is equal to 0. As we have considered our flow is uniform, that means that whatever the depth of flow before jump and depth of flow before jump, that is y1, and depth of flow after jump is not going to change. So if I am considering this equation, so it will be something similar to the quadratic equation, which is given by ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. This is our similar equation of the quadratic equation, and roots of the quadratic equation can be simply found out as x is equal to minus b plus minus b square minus 4ac, minus b plus minus under root of b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. So what is the a here? A is the 1. What is b here? B is the y1 if I am considering y2 as a variable. What is the c here? C is the 2q square upon g by 1. So while taking its solution, so it can be solved as by taking its solution as y2 is equal to minus b1, that is y1, plus minus under root of b square, that is value of b square is b is the y1. Here it is our a is 1 and our c is the 2q square upon gy1. So b square is the y1 square minus 4 multiplied by a, that is 1, multiplied by c, that is minus 2q square upon gy1 divided by 2a. Again here it is value of a is 1. Now by doing the simple modification or simplification, I can write down this equation as y2 is equal to minus y1 plus minus under root of y square plus 8q square divided by gy1. So whatever we have done this multiplication with this, and this minus minus has become plus here. So I have just simply done some small simplification in that equation. Now further I can write down this equation as by taking these two separately for both. So when these two will get inside the square root, it will become 4. So what equation we will get here, y2 is equal to minus y1 by 2. I am just taking the numerator separately for both the terms, plus minus under root of y1 square divided by 4, as I am taking these two inside the cube root, square root. In that case I can write down it as 4 plus 2q square upon gy1. Now there will be two roots possible for this equation for the y2, that can be written as this one, taking ones as a plus and taking ones as a minus. So minus y1 divided by 2 plus under root of y1 square divided by 4 plus 2q square upon gy1, and similarly by taking minus sign I can write down the equation. Now if you look at this equation, what we are getting, there will be two minus signs with the both the terms. So what we can say, that it is going to give me the minus value, negative value, and depth of the flow never possible that its value will be negative. So we are going to accept this solution because solution 2 is not possible. So this will be the solution for our y2. Y2 is given by minus y1 divided by 2 plus under root of y1 square divided by 4 plus 2q square divided by gy1. Now similarly I can write down this equation for the y1, what we have done for the y2 by multiplying on the both side of the equation by the y2, we can simply write down the equation for the y1 as well, which is given by y1 is equal to minus y2 divided by 2 plus under root of y2 square divided by 4 plus 2q square upon gy2. We are simply replacing all the y1 with the y2 and y2 with the y1. So this is what our depth of flow after jump, or this is what our depth of flow before the hydraulic jump. Now we can write down this equation of the hydraulic jump. This is what our equation in the form of q, what q we have considered, that is the small q, that is the discharge per unit width. If I want to write down this equation in terms of velocity, what I can write here, I am simply going to put the value of q here, small q. We know that small q can be replaced at q is equal to v1 multiplied by y1. So by putting that value of the q here, we can get the equation of this hydraulic jump in terms of velocity, that is in terms of v. So which is coming out as y2 is equal to minus y1 plus under root of y1 square divided by 4 plus 2 multiplied by v1 y1 whole square divided by g by 1. Now simply we can write down this equation for the y1 as well. Just simply replace this y2 with the y1 and all the y1 with the y2. Now if I want to do some more modification in this equation, what we can do here, we can look at this y1 square by 4. We can look here it is also another y1 square. So we can take the y1 square as a common, but here it is the 4. So we can simply multiply and divide this term with the 4, so which is not going to change anything, which not going to change the value of that term. So I am simply going to multiply and divide this term with the 4. In that case, this equation can be written as, here it is 4 multiplied by 2, that will become 8. So and the denominator I will get 4. Now I can simply take y1 square upon 4 as a common from this equation. If I take this y1 square upon 4 from outside from the square root, it will become y1 upon 2. So what I can take here common, y1 upon 2. There is another y1 upon 2 outside this square root. So I can simply take this y1 upon 2 from the whole equation as a common. So what I can write down the equation for the y2 is equal to y1 upon 2 in bracket minus 1 plus, here one y1 upon 2 we have taken common, that is 1 plus, here is the equation, what is remaining here, 8v square upon g y1. So what we have written here, 8v square upon g y1. So what is this v square upon g y1? We know that Froude number is given by the equation, v upon under root of g y1, or v upon v1 upon g under root of g y1, or I can also write down it as v2 upon g under root of g y2. So what we are getting here, Froude number. So if I take the square on both sides, what equation I will get, Froude number square is equal to v square upon gy. So what I am getting here, this v square upon gy is the equation for the Froude number square. So I can simply replace this whole term v square upon gy 1 with the Froude number. Now where that Froude number will be calculated, at the section 1, because we are considering velocity at section 1 and depth of flow at section 1. So I am going to replace it with the FR1 square. So this is our final equation for the hydraulic jump, which can be written as in terms of Froude numbers, which is given by y2 is equal to y1 divided by 2 minus 1 plus under root of 1 plus 8 Froude number square at section 1. So where I1 and y2 both are the said to be alternate depths, or the also called as conjugate depth, because both are conjugate of each other and both can be calculated by using this same equation. So you can simply replace this y2 with y1 and this y2 with y1 with y2. So we can simply write down for while calculating y1 as y1 is equal to y2 upon 2. Rest of the things will be similar. Only the things is here the Froude number will be replaced by the 2. So this is what our equation for the hydraulic jump. After calculating y1 and y2, you can simply calculate height of jump, that is difference between depth of flow before and after jump, and this is what we can calculate the height of jump. And after calculating height of jump, we can simply define length of jump, so which is generally said to be a 5 to 6 times of the height of jump. So here it is. Height of jump can be calculated as y2 minus y1, which is going to give me the difference between depth of flow before and after jump. After calculating height of jump, the length of jump can be simply calculated as by multiplying it with 5 to 7, or simply by taking its average 6 multiplied by height of jump. So I can simply calculate the height of jump, length of jump by multiplying the height of jump with the 6. So this is what our derivation for the hydraulic jump. Hope you understood it. If you have any doubts, you can again go through the video. Remember that assumptions are going to play important role, always be. So this equation which is based on all those assumptions, so those assumptions you should understand properly, then and then you can easily understand this equation. Those are the references which I used while preparing my presentation. Thank you for watching.